Okay, let's talk about Japan, because something really big is happening over there. I'm talking about a historic shift in the world's third largest economy. It's got investors, strategists, you name it. Everyone is sitting up and paying very close attention. So, let's dive right in.
And it really all starts with this one massive number, 8.9 trillion yen. Now, to put that in perspective, that's about 58 billion US dollars. And this isn't just any number, it's Japan's record-smashing defense budget for 2026. It's the 12th year in a row they've increased it, and wow, it's a huge signal that Japan is dramatically rethinking its place in the world.
But here's where it gets really interesting. At the exact same time all this is happening, the Tokyo stock market is just booming. I mean, it's hitting highs that haven't been seen in decades. So you've got this massive military expansion on one hand and a red-hot economy on the other. Kind of wild, right?
And that brings us to the big question we're tackling here. What on earth is going on in Japan? What's the engine behind this radical transformation? And maybe more importantly, is this a brilliant masterstroke or a super risky gamble?
All right, let's get into it. The answer really starts with one person, Sanae Takaichi. She's Japan's first female prime minister, and she didn't just win, she had a landslide victory. We're talking an unprecedented supermajority in parliament. And believe me, she is not wasting a single second putting her vision into action.
And this quote here, it perfectly sums up her whole philosophy. For Takaichi, everything, and I mean everything, is seen through the lens of national resilience. Whether you're talking about energy, the economy, or defense, the end goal is always the same: a stronger, more self-reliant Japan.
So naturally, we've got a new word for our economic vocabulary: Sananomics. You can kind of think of it as the sequel to the famous Abenomics, but, supercharged. It's a simple three-part strategy: spend big, keep interest rates low, and build up the military.
Okay, so let's break that down. How exactly is Takaichi planning to rewrite Japan's economic playbook? Well, it all kicks off with a huge injection of cash. We're talking about a 21.3 trillion yen stimulus package. And just look where that money's headed. This is not your typical short-term relief package. Nope, the focus is laser-sharp on strategic, future-defining industries. We're talking artificial intelligence, semiconductors, quantum technology, plus, of course, that major boost for national defense, and, importantly, some support for regular households.
Now, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, how can Japan afford all this spending? And that's a great question. This chart right here shows the really unique spot they're in. See, while other major economies like the US and the UK have positive real interest rates, Japan's are deeply negative. What that means is inflation is actually running hotter than their main interest rate, which, you guessed it, makes it incredibly cheap for the government to borrow and spend on this massive scale.
And you better believe Takaichi wants to keep it that way. She's already putting a bit of pressure on the Bank of Japan, telling them to hold off on any more interest rate hikes. So the bottom line here is that cheap money isn't just a side effect. It's a core, absolutely essential part of the entire Sananomics strategy. The last piece of this economic puzzle, it's all about unlocking value from within Japan itself. The government is pushing hard for corporate reforms. Things like demanding financial statements be in English to pull in more global investors, and trying to shift the whole corporate mindset from just, let's not mess up, to let's actually go out there and grow.
But, and this is a big but, Sananomics isn't just about the economy. Running right alongside this massive spending plan is an equally historic shift in Japan's defense posture. We're watching them move from decades of restraint to a whole new era of readiness.
The new buzzword, the new guiding principle, is proactive deterrence. And this is a huge change, a fundamental shift. It basically means Japan isn't just thinking about defending its own shores anymore. No way. They're now acquiring things like long-range missiles, capabilities to deter threats that are way, way beyond their immediate borders.
So if we look at the timeline, you can see how we got here. Now, while Prime Minister Takaichi is definitely putting the pedal to the metal, this trend isn't brand new. Defense spending has actually been climbing for over a decade. Her election and that record-breaking 2026 budget, well, they're just a massive escalation of a shift that's been underway for a while.
And this is where the two halves of Sananomics just click together perfectly. This military buildup, it isn't just about defense. It's actually a really powerful form of industrial policy. Think about it. The investment in advanced weapons directly fuels innovation in the exact same sectors Takaichi is targeting with her stimulus: AI, quantum,
and especially semiconductors. So when they talk about achieving chip sovereignty, for example, it's not just a security goal. It's about building a world-leading industry right at home. So let's recap. You've got massive spending, a rearming military, and a stock market that's on fire. It sounds pretty incredible, right? But, and you knew there was a but, it comes with some enormous risks. So the question is this a new dawn for Japan, or is it a truly dangerous gamble?
And really, it all kind of boils down to this one scary number, 209.3%. That is Japan's public debt-to-GDP ratio. It is, by far, the highest in the developed world. And all this new spending, it's only going to push that number higher. This, right here, is the single biggest risk to the whole plan.
So, how could this play out? Well, there are basically two very different paths it could take, and people are using some recent European examples to frame it. On one hand, could it be a Maloney miracle, like in Italy? You know, where smart stimulus actually boosts growth without freaking out the markets. Or could it be a trust moment, like we saw in the UK? A total catastrophe sparked by unfunded spending that sends the bond market into a full-blown panic.
But here's the thing. Japan isn't the UK. And this table does a great job of showing why they might just be able to pull this off. Okay, yes, the debt is gigantic. But, and this is key, over 90% of it is held domestically by Japanese citizens and institutions. It's not owed to a bunch of foreign creditors. On top of that, Japan is the world's largest net creditor nation. These built-in buffers give them a kind of stability that other countries just dream of.
All of which leaves us with the ultimate question. Sonomics is, without a doubt, a high-stakes bet on Japan's future. It's this huge, synchronized push to finally break free from decades of stagnation, to revitalize the economy and reassert Japan's power on the world stage. So the question we're all left with is, has Japan finally found the magic formula for growth, or is it charting a course for a crisis that could shake the entire globe?